Government leaders have abandoned the capital and are now hiding in exile. Information out of occupied Athens has been sporadic, but Soviet forces are indeed in control of the capital as well as much of the outlying territories in Greece. In the city, fighting among Allied and Soviet troops continues, but the Allied death toll is rising rapidly. Now it remains to be seen if Allied forces will be able to weather this onslaught intact. Reacting to this latest assault, Allied diplomats led the United Nations in a 281-7 vote that, in approving a unique military funding initiative aimed at increasing global Allied support. This proposal calls for the formation of a global defense agency to be temporarily established in an as-yet unnamed European capital. Indeed, in control of the capital as well as much of the outlying...
Sounds bad, does it not? Well, it is. But Stalin has just written his obituary. At last, this will help us galvanize the rest of the world against him. Yes, we have lost Greece, but we are not out just yet. Stalin may think so, but if we can continue to counsel the talents of commanders like yourself, we will come through this war on top. My old friend... One of Tanya's men. She found something. But Russian security agents have captured her. They will almost certainly take her back to Moscow. We must get her back. She has vital information on the Iron Curtain project. That information could help tip the scales in our favor. Let him clear his head. In this state, he is of no use to us. The Soviets currently hold Tanya near Grodno. The prison is well guarded, but a supply truck from a nearby Soviet base runs through the facility several times a day. If your spies can infiltrate the war factory, they may be able to hitch a ride into the prison compound. Once you have found Tanya, get her out of there any way you can.
Oh. Ooh. Oh. Such a pretty face. Where is Professor Einstein? I was hoping you'd say that. I'm afraid the effects are quite permanent.
Welcome back, Commander.
Yes, sir.
Today's mission is, kinda tough. If anything, it gives you the, training necessary to work with spies. This is also one of those missions that I find like the briefing really shows how far the game has evolved from Tiberian Dawn. It also mentions that there is the creation of a global defense force. Maybe not specifically GDI, but there's something in the works there. Is it because it's an alternate timeline and that just so happens to be the thing? Or is this actually the Tiberian timeline? Something to think about, I guess. Getting away from timelines, though, I really like the characterization that Stavros and Von Essling, pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, I like how they both get, like, their characters. It's much better than Shepard. And, you know, he got better near the end, but I just feel like Red Alert just brings it out immediately. Okay, sure. This level is like heavily scripted already, but how do you not enjoy this? It's like, sure, you know, barrels kinda can be gimmicky, but I think it's fun. Now, sadly, Tanya's a little too important for us to just use her however we want in this mission. So, we're gonna need to evacuate her.
Yeah? Let's rock!
It's important to note that the game, I don't know if it's like a trigger or if it's just like a special property for bridges, but sometimes it doesn't seem like Tanya can automatically target to destroy a bridge. Oh, and sadly you can't shoot the chain link fence or place C4 on it, so I can't really cut the destination short. Oh, and you want to make sure that if you do actually like blow up this bridge for the hell of it, do it at the right spot, or else you kind of fail the mission. Well, that was rather easy. I'll see you for the end video. Oh, what? God damn it.
Yes, sir. Awaiting order. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Vehicle. Acknowledge. Waiting order. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Oh, also, the AI is a bunch of dicks. Like, it goes straight for your engineers.
Affirmative.
Target something else.
Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Reporting. Very well.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Waiting for knowledge. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Knowledge.
Now, unless I'm mistaken, I believe all three of the options that we had at the start of the video, they should all lead to the Tanya rescue. The maps are just different.
Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting. Vehicle reporting.
I recall at least one where you start in the top left of the map, and you basically have the same sort of drive downwards, and then you get to the tech center or whatever it's called,
Yes, sir.
and rescue Tanya and so on and so forth. And it still revolves around having to destroy the SAM sites so that you can evacuate.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
There's been some talk in the thread also about the engineers, how they're no longer a one-hit guarantee. I actually hate the change. I really don't enjoy the fact that engineers don't auto-capture. Well, I shouldn't say auto-capture stuff, but the fact that they don't get it immediately is just dumb to me. Oh, and I was an idiot several times where I didn't stop my guys from attacking.
Ready and waiting. Yes, sir.
So the reason I hate it is because when you have to actually damage a building, you either have to already control the area, or kind of expect that whatever you capture is going to blow up immediately.
Yes, sir.
Obviously there's ways to mitigate that, but at the same time, it just makes it tedious. Because you end up spending your money to fix stuff that you broke. And I'm sure the argument can be made that, well, just, save, buy another engineer and try to do something with that. But still.
On hold.
Yes,
Cancel.
sir.
And here's the problem with
Affirmative. Affirmative.
not capturing a power plant.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledge.
Low.
Affirmative. Acknowledge. Acknowledged.
There's something super nice about being able to just run over certain walls with vehicles.
Building.
Obviously, concrete walls are king in this sort of environment, but, at least you have something to really get over a cheap chain link or a sandbag wall.
Unable to comply. Building in progress. Construction complete. Building.
Yeah, construct additional pylons, buddy.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledge. Very well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
I don't know why, I was really worried that this wouldn't work, but
Reporting.
yeah, medium tanks outrange flamethrower towers.
Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Construction options. Building. Construction complete. Cannot deploy here. Building. On hold. Cancel. On hold. Building.
To me, Red Alert really does speed up the entire process of getting income, and so you'll see me prioritize getting several refineries much faster than I ever did in Tiberium Dawn, and you don't really have to worry about your various
Unit ready.
money fields, however you want to call them. There's just so much available to you.
Funds. On hold. Cancel.
We'll get to see how you can really ramp up production
Complete.
later on in this campaign.
Building.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Reporting on. Waiting order. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Waiting order. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Now, I know I mentioned how heavy tanks are really good. The one caveat for heavy tanks is that versus medium tanks, it can kind of...
Unit ready.
It's kind of wishy-washy. In the sense that heavy tanks are more expensive, so theoretically you can buy more medium tanks in the long run. And we can see that medium tank has a fairly good rate of fire, faster than the heavy tank at least. So they're kind of close on how much damage their output is, and they have the same like size HP bar. There might be a little variance, but not enough to really matter.
Primary building selected. Building.
So you end up with this thing where
Ready.
it's kind of much better to, like, if your option is medium tank or light tank, the light tank is like immediately outclassed.
Waiting order. Agreed. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
It's also a little strange that I have the ability to buy light tanks and rangers here. I believe it's just some weird property of the CNC Net version with the single player campaign, because realistically I shouldn't have the option. It's kind of why I built the barracks. I was trying to see if I could get rocket soldiers too. Not that they'd be like incredibly useful or anything, just to see if I could build them.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Report out. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. No, yes, sir. Affirmative. No. Waiting. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
We actually start seeing a lot of V2 vehicles, like more and more.
Construction complete.
And it's important to note that
Yes, sir.
they're not bad vehicles. The only problem is that, like the artillery, they're just your long-range thing. They don't have... our V2s have a lot more HP than artillery, but they shoot... It takes forever to reload. And I don't know what the calculation is, but sometimes they kind of like line up their shots, so to speak,
Affirmative.
and it takes them a little bit to actually shoot.
Acknowledged. Agreed.
Now, if they manage to hit their target like dead on,
Acknowledged.
they can easily take like a third, if not half, of a medium tank's HP.
Yes, sir. Very well.
Basically just evaporates them. You're never going to be building like entire, armies of V2 rockets. But they can be useful from time to time.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting.
I guess another thing that's incredibly important with regards to V2, and really with any sort of projectile in this game,
Affirmative.
is that in the event of a near miss, the V2 rocket just doesn't do nearly as much damage.
Affirmative.
I know somebody was mentioning, and apologies for forgetting who it was specifically, but in the Tiberian Dawn thread,
On hold.
it was mentioned that the dinosaur levels, the dinosaurs didn't always do a lot of damage because it seemed that they needed to be within a certain distance of their target. And if the target moved, then the high explosive area of effect wouldn't apply properly.
Construction complete.
Or at least it just wouldn't do full damage. However you want to word it.
Yes, sir.
In this game, it kind of turns that up to 11.
Reporting. Waiting.
It was really hard to sort of micromanage units, being able to move them while they're being shot at and so on and so forth, just because of how slow everything played out.
Ready.
In this game, if you don't want to take much damage against enemy tanks, you always want to be moving.
Waiting order. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Unit
Waiting.
lost.
Affirmative.
Building.
Waiting. Affirmative. Affirmative.
It's why the worst thing you could ever do if you had an ore truck being attacked by the enemy is have them stop for any reason.
Vehicle. Affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative. Yes.
I mean, obviously you're going to be having your own income destroyed just from underneath the ore truck.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle.
But you really want to make sure that
Yes, sir.
you keep moving, because as soon as you stop, those projectiles from the tanks will absolutely wallop anything there.
Vehicle. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Vehicle. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Vehicle. Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Waiting. Affirmative.
Unit
Yes, sir. Of course.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Now, sometimes you get into these sort of like, I don't want to say base race, because my base is fine, but you get in these like damage races. Thankfully I won that one,
Ready.
but it was pretty close.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Sometimes though, it's just really worth it. The fact that now they can't build any tanks whatsoever, and my economy is not too strong just because of the distance involved. But I can rest assured that the enemy has no chance of really being able to do too much against me. They've only got, what,
Unit
4 tanks left on the map?
Waiting order. Affirmative.
And if the worst that they can throw at me is a couple grenadiers here and there and some attack dogs, I'm kinda good for the rest of this mission.
Vehicle. Affirmative.
construction complete. New construction options. Training.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Yes, affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
So that's kind of a really good example about how moving in this game really can save you. That tank got mulched, and sure, you know, it's 4 tanks versus 1 or whatever, 5 tanks. But still, if you choose not to move, it's the worst mistake you can make if you're in a straight-up fight. It doesn't show up too often, just because I think it's just the difficulty I'm on, or there's some other property. Oh, and dogs can attack dogs. But how do I explain this? The AI sometimes is downright diabolical with how well it can micromanage a unit.
Waiting order. Vehicle.
I don't believe we'll ever see it like too commonly, but boy howdy, sometimes it'll get a light tank and it just trades so unfairly with a heavy tank if it gets the chance to constantly be moving and shoot,
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
which
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
can't really shoot while on the move.
Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Like usually a unit is shooting or moving. If it's doing both, it's because you're like it's trying to end its move.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting order. Affirmative. Vehicle. Affirmative. Awaiting order. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Vehicle reporting.
And sometimes you just don't want to have to deal with all the infantry.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Thankfully, you can still squish stuff.
Affirmative.
But again, infantry is actually kind of good this game. Like, even though tanks can squish them, if, say, you have one that's damaged and happens to not be able to move at 100%,
Yes, sir.
infantry is pretty good at punishing that.
Construction complete. Building.
Awaiting orders.
But, you know, 3 flame towers is kind of something that's insurmountable for them.
Mission accomplished.
So very pretty, but oh so stubborn.